Good morning, everyone. This is my watch list for Thursday, May 7th. All right, what's going on here? Market's so overextended, right? 4 hour daily. You can see it on any time frame. We are opening at the previous session high on SPY and the Qs. We have not made a big move overnight. This is a very flat gap, and we're opening right at the previous session high. So really, you have two options here. You can look for the failure of the previous session high, or we can just wait for these bigger demand bounces, which is honestly, that's where we're going to get more value. If SPY retests that 725, which was the breakout level from Friday, that's where the value will come in and you can actually buy the dip and get a nice move on longs. All right. Now, one thing I will say that's interesting is VIX is gapping up as SPY and QQQ were gapping up, right? So VIX is up 0.46%. It also has divergence, right? Divergence on the 4 hour daily. That to me is a sign that potentially markets are topping out, right? So SPY and QQQ are gapping up just a little bit. Qs are actually starting to turn red here pre-market. But again, it's pretty flat. I'll show you guys on the 5 minute. It's pretty flat open on both SPY and the Qs. We're just opening where we closed, essentially, all right? So there's not a lot that we can do up here with SPY and QQQ. I mean, you can look for failures of some of these intraday pivots like this, maybe 693.50, which was the pivot after hour and the pivot pre-market yesterday. But that's there's not a lot of options up here. We're just so overextended. I would rather wait for these bigger demand bounces. 676. If we get back to 676 on the Qs, then we can actually look for longs, and this is going to provide a lot of value in the market if we get that pullback. All right, but yeah, it's very overextended. Not a lot that we can do on SPY or QQQ up here. All right, let's look at some individuals. So Apple, I actually like this 288 level. If you zoom out to the 4 hour, this was the previous all-time high back from December of 2025, right? So from like 6 months ago. So if we break above that 288, that previous all-time high, then we're back into all-time highs, right? So we're back into all-time highs, and at this point, it's price discovery. We don't know exactly how far it'll go, but this is a nice chart on Apple, and I like that breakout as long as it holds 288. This looks like a nice long, all right? AMD is also very overextended. Not a lot that we can do here, guys, until it gets a pullback. So for me, I need 365. This was the breakout level back from last Monday, or I guess it was this Monday, May 4th, yeah. This is the breakout level from Monday. If we get back to 365, I would long AMD. Until then, I wouldn't touch it. It's just so overextended, all right? Amazon, I like this 278 level. This was the earnings high. It was around 277.50, but then we rejected 278 here on Tuesday and again yesterday. So if Amazon gets over 278, I like that for longs. Google, super overextended, all right? Look at this chart. This is insanity. Google's trading at like 8 ATRs from its 50-day moving average. This isn't something I would touch, especially since it's about to tap a 5 trillion market cap. Usually stocks respond to those increments of trillion in market cap pretty severely, right? So it's very normal to see pretty big corrections once a stock hits like 1 trillion or 2 trillion or 3 trillion. Google's about to hit a 5 trillion market cap, right? So I would expect to see some turbulence right around this area on Google. Likely won't touch that. Meta got faked out on this yesterday. I was looking for that 600 short. It looked really good off the open, but then it just completely reversed. It was a fake out. But I do like this range on Meta, right? So either below 600 for shorts, or if we get above 620, we have a daily gap fill, right? We have a daily gap fill above 620 all the way back into 650, right? Now, I don't know which side will break, but either, it doesn't matter which side breaks. If we get the break of 620, can look for longs. If we get back below 600, can look for shorts. I don't really trade Meta, guys, so this isn't my specialty, but I like the levels, so we'll see what happens on Meta, and possibly Rav will take this. Rav trades Meta all the time. I just don't trade Meta. Netflix, we did exactly what I said, right? It broke that 90 demand, and it filled the gap literally almost down perfectly, 86.70. We bounced. The gap fill was 86.50. I mean, I said this move was going to happen, right? So what can you do now? I actually like the 90 reject. We broke below 90. That support turns into demand, turns into supply, right? Demand turns into supply, or support turns into resistance, right? So if we get that 90 retest, I like that for shorts. Nvidia, my big level, if you guys remember, we're looking at this breakdown last week below 207.50, right? Yeah, there it is, 207.50, okay? So I actually like Nvidia if it fails back under 207.50 for shorts, right? That was my big breakdown level last week. If we're above 207.50, it's bullish. If we get back below 207.50, it turns into a short, right? Palantir, they reported earnings. The stock's getting crushed. It's at 135. I'm not really interested in Palantir today. This chart looks a little sloppy to me. Tesla has been on a run. All right, we said 383. As long as 383 holds, that's a long. Okay, we reclaimed, and now it's ripping, and now it's back at these highs. This was the earnings high right here. 408 is a big level, right? 408. You see this on the 4-hour. If we get above 408, it has room to 416, 420. All right. All right, so that's what I'm watching today. Let's see what happens. I think it's going to be an interesting session because both buying cues are opening flat while VIX is actually green, okay? So let's see what happens today, and I hope you guys have a good Thursday. I'll see you on live.